With the recent acquisition of Julio Jones to the Tennessee Titans, does that make the Titans surpass the Buffalo Bills in the AFC? We're going to be diving into this on today's edition of the Dom Mafia Report. Yo ho ho, Dom Mafia. Welcome to yet another edition of the Dom Mafia Report. Now, everybody probably knows by now that Julio Jones ended up signing, or getting traded to rather, to the Tennessee Titans for a second, fourth, and I want to say sixth round pick throughout the next couple of years. The Tennessee Titans are absolutely getting an absolute stud. Okay, they are getting a stud. This guy is one of the best receivers in the league. There's no question about it. The 32-year-old is going to be joining the likes of Derrick Henry and A.J. Brown, Ryan Tannehill, a pretty scary offense. Now, as Buffalo Bills fans, we are expecting us to take that next step. We are expecting to go past the AFC Championship into the Super Bowl. However, has there been a new threat that has been introduced, i.e. the Tennessee Titans, with this new addition? We're going to dive into that, I promise you. But we are going to go through some announcements. Number one, I am giving away either a PS5 or an Xbox Series X on July 2nd. In order to enter this competition, all you need to do is be a subscriber to this YouTube channel, screenshot proof of that, and then DM me that screenshot on Instagram at RealDanMitchell, as well as being a follower of mine on Instagram. As soon as when you do that, you are entered into the contest, and therefore increasing your chances of bringing home a next-gen console. I'm not even sure why I'm including Xbox into this, because I all know you all want a PS5. Second announcement, smash the fuck out of that like button. That is all. So yeah, Dom Mafia, today when I was researching what today's video was going to be, I ended up running across a pretty interesting article. I believe it was by Buffalo Down. I'm pretty sure from the fan-sided network, and they essentially broke down whether or not the Buffalo Bills fans should be concerned about the Tennessee Titans being a threat in the AFC, just being yet one more pillar that we need to surpass in order to make the Super Bowl. We all understand what happened last year when that whole COVID bullshit happened, and we ended up playing Tuesday Night Football because the Tennessee Titans ended up breaking a bunch of protocols, etc., etc. But that is not here nor there. This year, we are experiencing an entire different team. This article goes in a deep dive into whether or not the Titans have surpassed the Bills in the AFC as far as the better team. And I thought what would be interesting is really just to go through a couple of position groups and give either a winner or a loser, depending on what that group has to bring to the table. Now, starting off, let's go on ahead and just address running back. Now, what I could do is I can go on ahead and throw you a bunch of beautiful displays and try to somewhat convince you that the Buffalo Bills running game is better than the Tennessee Titans, but that would frankly be a lie. When you look at Derrick Henry, that guy is an absolute monster, a true workhorse back. We have seen what the man can do, whether or not that your name is Josh Norman or whether or not that you are simply just opposing defenses. The guy is an intricate part of that Tennessee Titans defense. The Buffalo Bills run game, on the other hand, it is clearly transitioned into a running back by committee, Devin Singletary, and then also Zach Moss. And when you look at the Buffalo Bills, they are more of a passing attack team anyway, and our running game has reflected on that since the priorities of our offensive line have shifted almost entirely to pass blocking. So hands down, the Tennessee Titans have the advantage in the running back department easily. Is number two, we're going to have to talk about wide receivers, right? I mean, like I said, they just ended up trading for Julio Jones. Now, during the beginning of the offseason, I was scratching my head wondering what the Titans were doing when they ended up letting Jonnu Smith walk and they ended up letting Corey Davis go down to the Jets. At that point, all they had was A.J. Brown and Derrick Henry. Arguably, that's really all you damn need. But at the end of the day, they ended up finally making that trade for Julio Jones. So now when you look at the fact that they still have Julio Jones, and then now they have A.J. Brown, that's essentially two Stephon Diggs, in my opinion. Very talented receivers. It's going to be very difficult to stop this offense over at Tennessee as long as Ryan Tannehill can remain consistent like he has been for the past 2 years donning the Titans uniform. And right in retrospect, now we need to look at the Buffalo Bills wide receiving core. I mean, let's be honest with ourselves. We have Stephon Diggs, the leading receiver in the entire league last year. To think that Dude Man would regress in any way possible, barring any type of injury, is clearly crazy talk. This man's about to have an incredible season, probably around the same as last year, if not better. Same with Cole Beasley, probably the most slept-on slot receiver in the entire league. Dude Man is an absolute magician when it comes to route running. Now, we did lose out on John Brown. He ended up getting released, and then the Raiders ended up signing him. Obviously, Bills fans wish him the best. But in my opinion, we ended up upgrading that position, somebody that'll easily be able to fill in the shoes of John Brown, and maybe then some with Emmanuel Sanders, who is also an absolute technician when it comes to route running and is also very versatile. Can play on the outside, can also play on the inside, and be yet another weapon for Josh Allen at the end of the day. Gabe Davis, who in my opinion was probably the most slept-on receiver rookie last year, really came into his own. Several toe touches that occurred during that Indianapolis Colts playoff game. I'm expecting this man to absolutely blow up this year. Don't get me wrong, I like Julio Jones. I like A.J. Brown. Those are two talented, very talented receivers. But when you're looking at the receiving core alone, I'm going to have to give a slight edge to the Buffalo Bills on this aspect, especially if Julio Jones' injury history, particularly in 2020, reflects on what's going to happen in 2021. I think the Buffalo Bills have the slight edge at that point. Number 3, we got to talk about the quarterback. Don't get me wrong. I have always been a fan of Ryan Tannehill. I thought that he didn't get a good chance in Miami. They gave up on him way too quickly, and then he ended up giving a giant middle finger to anybody that ever didn't believe in him. He's a good quarterback. He's consistent, but at the end of the day, when you have somebody like Derrick Henry on your side, and then now you have Julio Jones and you have A.J. Brown, you really need not to be able to be a decent quarterback, especially with those weapons provided to you. Josh Allen, let's be real. I think the edge goes to Josh Allen. Let's not even talk about that game against Tennessee last year. I know Titans fans are already vigorously typing out their comment right now about Josh Allen and what the Tennessee Titans did to us last year, but that is neither here nor there. Josh Allen is coming off of an MVP season, broke a record for different players throwing a touchdown pass to in a single season. There's no way that this man regresses at all. I'm going to have to give the edge to the Buffalo Bills in the quarterback situation. Now, I would say the majority of these position groups, right, are pretty much neck and neck. It's very difficult. What I would say, and yes, I'm going to give you a spoiler alert, I do believe that the Buffalo Bills are still above the Tennessee Titans as far as the power rankings, as far as a better team. And a lot of that has to do with the defense. There's no question on the face of the planet that the Tennessee Titans struggle significantly with their secondary, where the Buffalo Bills have a tremendous secondary. And now that we've ended up addressing our defensive line, being able to cause pressure on the quarterback and allowing our secondary to flourish, plus continuity of having basically the exact same personnel back with our safety duo and Micah Hyde and Jordan Poyer. Obviously, Trey White and then Levi Wallace, Dane Jackson perhaps taking his position. I think the Buffalo Bills defense is really what ends up giving the Bills an edge when it comes down into an overall better football team. And so next is going to have to go with really the overall strength of schedule. The Buffalo Bills have the 23rd hardest schedule in the entire league, essentially meaning that we have a cakewalk going into it. Thank God, because last year was an absolute travesty. Every single game that I watched was filled with anxiety because of the team that we were playing. And the Buffalo Bills delivered with a 13-3 regular season record and going all the way to the AFC Championship. This year, we are experiencing a lot easier of a schedule ahead of us. The Tennessee Titans, on the other hand, not so much. They are currently sitting at tied for 13th most difficult schedule. Their opponents having an average of a .507 win percentage of the opponents that they're facing compared to the Buffalo Bills that are going to be facing a schedule that has a .478 win percentage at the end of the day. I do want to include that in whether or not that I thought the Titans would surpass the Bills. Spoiler alert, I do not see it. I still think the Buffalo Bills are above the Tennessee Titans. And while I do see them still being a threat, we are going to Nashville for what seems like the 30th time in a row. When was the last time the Titans played at Buffalo? Does anybody know? That's going to be a great game. It really, really is. As of now, I do have the Buffalo Bills winning that game. Well, prior to the Julio Jones trade, I did have the Buffalo Bills winning that game. But we shall see. I will most likely be in Nashville that week, so that's going to be a damn game to watch. Del Mafia, thank you so much. What do you think about this entire situation? Leave a comment. I will see you tomorrow. And before I let you go, always remember, let's go Buffa.